God bless the United States Navy.
Well, I couldn't help but wonder why there was so much coded into President Trump's visit with the Navy for their 250th celebration. We have so much going on around the earth. There are biblical messages, Q drops, tensions in the Middle East, tensions in our own country, and so much more yet. To see the U.S. Navy excited about their future and to have our military power on full display, it was comforting knowing so much has been taken care of so far. We're going to get into Obama's treason that's been released. We're going to look into that and so much more moving forward. As of today, it's pretty amazing, folks. Pretty amazing. You know, we have our site on Rumble, and we're almost at 500,000 followers. We're hoping to get to 500,000 soon. Thank you guys for that. And I want to remind you, Rumble's been taking care of us. YouTube kicked us off. Even though I created a YouTube channel now and it's up, but I really want to make sure that we understand Rumble and what they've done for us. I've got an interview coming up with the owner of Rumble here soon, and I'll be releasing it when we're done, to explain to everyone why it's important. I know we've been working behind the scenes to try to help things out because people have things that have been going on behind the scenes with this. Just want to remind you guys what they did for us to allow us to be on board. And so I hope that you guys hit subscribe and like. We'd really appreciate that. I want to show you a couple of clips here.
Elite commandos in the history of war. They are the toughest, and there's nobody tougher. There's just nobody. That's what they tell me. There's nobody tougher. It's called the Navy SEALs. What do you think about the Navy SEALs? Where are the Navy SEALs? We're not going to mess with the Navy SEALs. They are great. Thank you very much. Incredible people. And of course, our enemies have learned to dread that special cast of warriors who have charged forward almost everywhere America has seized a stronghold or stormed a beachhead. They call themselves the Leathernecks, the Jarheads, the Devil Dogs, but we revere them as the United States Marines. Incredible people. Incredible people. With us today are some of those who have led these exceptional men and women. They've led them like nobody else. And I'll tell you, a person I'm very, very proud of. He has stepped up and he's hitting home run after home run. They love him. I want to introduce again a man who's just exceptional. I'm so happy with this choice. Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. Thank you, Pete. Doing a job. I said, Pete, what do you think? We used to call it Secretary of War, the Department of War, the War Department. Now we call it Defense. And I don't know, would you ever want to, we won World War I. We won World War II. We won everything in between. We won everything before. And all of a sudden they decide to change the name. They went woke then too, Woke is a long-term word. I said, what do you think about changing it to the Department of War? He said, I love it, sir. And that was about the end of it, right? That was the end of it. Thank you, Pete. Great job. He's a great leader. Also, Secretary of the Navy, a very, very successful man. He gave it all up to do this, and we're designing more ships. We have more ships being built shortly. We're going to have more great ships being built than we've ever had being built in the history of the Navy. John Phelan. John, thank you. Great job, John.
President Trump goes through his list of those that he's celebrated in charge of the U.S. Navy. And we had many things that came out through this particular event. Dan Scavino posted, what a great show, Morning in the World like it. Right here. See this? Nothing in the world like it. Excuse me, not morning. My goodness, I need to get some new glasses. Nothing in the world like it. Go USA. And there's President Trump's signature. And you've got the different photos that were released from Dan Scavino on this one. Titans of the Sea. Amazing ship. Look at the presence of the people. If you're looking at your screen, the number of sailors and Marines present. Absolutely phenomenal. We're always looking forward to the hunt for Red October. It's amazing how all of this seems to be lining up perfectly. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to go to that now. I was going to wait till a little bit later in this program. But I wanted to show you the October 5th, 2018 drop. Showing the subs there. Double meanings exist. So this was yesterday, the 5th, all revolving around the Navy birthday. Isn't it amazing? Future news will highlight, note the hunt for was dropped. Details matter, Red October, right? And so it begins. How do you start a war? Markers matter. Playbook fail. Their playbook has failed. I'm going to show you this.
God bless our sailors and God bless the United States of America. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
So if you're watching your screen, remember the YMCA was one of those songs they had founded at Gitmo. Remember that? And watch what President Trump does with his hand. You ready? Boom. Circle Q with to make sure that we knew it was a Q. He dropped that finger down after doing the circle. I'm going to do it in slow motion. You ready? This circle, Q, goes around, and then he dips it down. See how he did his finger? He dipped his finger. See? Dipped the finger. He's crossing that Q so that folks know, right? He's dipping that finger. There you go. Just want to make sure you know. We're still on board with all this. I was going to show you a lot more coming up with these different comms that have been thrown at us. Here's another one for you. True Stormy Joe caught this one.
Not a lot of fights, so do you see that? We're going to be close to number 8.
Number 8.
We don't want to send you into battle unless it's necessary, right? We're putting out a lot of fires. Maybe some of you will be angry. You'll say, what's he doing? We want to fight. You know what? If we can solve them the way I'm solving them, we solve 7. We have another one that's taken 3,000 years, and we're pretty close, but I don't want to talk about it until it's done. But let's give a big round of applause to the men and women of the majestic USS Kearsarge.
To catch that, the 8 comms. Deltas and SEALs. SEALs are wonderful creatures. SEALs are wonderful creatures. He's talked about the Navy SEALs. Where there's once darkness, there's now light. Sea to shining sea. Godspeed. And don't forget this. October 5th, 2017. 8 years. 8, the number 8. Did someone say 8 as in 8 years, perhaps? Says Angel Fronemo. Remember this, guys. Remember this. Here we go.
What this represents?
Tell us, sir.
Maybe it's the calm before the storm.
What's the storm?
Could be the calm before the storm.
What storm is
We have the world's great military people in this room, I will tell you that. And we're going to have a great evening. Thank you all for coming.
Great military in this room, and you're going to find out what storm, Mr. President. You'll find out. Almost like they rehearsed that with the media to ask that question and more. Could that be the 8 years to where we are now? Scare necessary event? Many folks are on board and looking at these type of things and they're saying, man, what in the world is going on? As you saw in the intro, we had this with President Trump and Melania walking through. I love this when I went to different ceremonies, especially the chief ceremony. I loved it when the new chief would walk through and forgive me, folks, for I wasn't a sailor, but the sailors that listen in know what these ceremonies are. I'm just telling you, I loved it when I was invited, and they would do this as the new chief would walk through. I love that. Absolutely amazing. What an honor. And of course, President Trump walking on board the ship, and you have all the sailors excited to see their commander-in-chief. And somebody made sure they got their camera and recorded this and circled all the way around to show you the crowd that was there. And then they showed different types of power that we have. And this is the SEALs. Pretty amazing. SEALs are amazing. Those guys, and I read several books of Navy SEALs and what these guys go through in their training and more, and it is phenomenal. I definitely recommend that for required reading for all of us. And if you don't have time to read and you're like, I'm not a reader, go on video products like YouTube maybe or Rumble and do some research and watch how these guys train and how they become a Navy SEAL. It is absolutely phenomenal. I have great respect for these guys. And so as this all played out, I'm going to show you this one more time. We had it in the intro, but I just love what Melania did.
Hooyah, Navy! Hooyah, Navy! It is an honor to be with you to celebrate the 250th year since the United States Navy was officially established. Generations of sailors have kept America free because of their presence on the high seas. Your strength, bravery, and sacrifice inspires us all. The President and I just attended an extraordinary demonstration, an inspiring display of skills that reflects the very best of our Navy. For me, it brought back fond memories of my visit to the USS George H.W. Bush in 2018. I will always remember the pride and professionalism of the sailors I met on that vessel. I witnessed the enduring spirit of America's Navy, which propels every mission and lives on to every sailor who serves. Now, it is my privilege to introduce someone who holds our military close to his heart, not only as the Commander-in-Chief, but as a proud American who believes deeply in the men and women who wear the uniform. Please join me in welcoming my husband, the 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
What an honor for all these sailors out there and Marines. They're holding their phones up. They can't wait to get a recording of this and send it off to their families, I'm sure, to be that close to their commander-in-chief. And they're excited, and he's not stumbling. He's not falling down. He's staying awake. He's showing his strength. And this guy who actually wins golf tournaments at his age, I believe 79, is still has the strength that, man, is beyond anything we've ever seen. Of course, they play Proud to be an American. It's absolutely amazing. We needed this. It's almost like a Trump rally on steroids as you got these guys, the military surrounding them on this aircraft carrier, and it's phenomenal. So folks, just wanted you to remember In case you have any doubts on what's going on in our country or anything that's happening behind the scenes, this is an amazing sight for all of us that we needed.
Prior to December 2021, my husband Larry was a healthy, active man with no health concerns or underlying conditions. He was a college lecturer and a successful musician, but that was all taken away from him on the 15th of December 2021. That was the day he received a COVID Pfizer booster injection in Oma Leisure Centre.
Well, that heartbreaking story from Larry Lowe's wife. She's talking because it's too hard for him to speak. Just because you didn't react immediately to the COVID jab, it doesn't mean you are in the clear. Mysterious symptoms and even deaths are surfacing months, sometimes years later. So you look at this, the VAERS reports show way more COVID vaccine injuries than something as common as Tylenol. And get this, experts estimate only 1% of cases are even reported. Plus, shedding means you could be exposed even if you skip the shot. Now, mRNA vaccines could be in our livestock, even organic. Why are mRNA vaccines different? It's the spike proteins. These proteins meant to train your immune system can interact with blood vessels and platelets, potentially causing clotting or inflammation. Overwhelming evidence shows millions are affected. So what's the solution? It starts with your gut. A healthy gut microbiome is the number one factor in fixing damage from vaccines, antibiotics, and the standard American diet. And the best way to boost gut diversity is kimchi. Studies like one from the National Institute of Health show kimchi's incredible power to restore gut health. But let's be real, eating kimchi daily isn't easy. That's where Brightcore's Kimchi One comes in. Delivers 900 probiotic strains, live enzymes, and antioxidants in one convenient capsule. No mess, no taste. It supports digestion, energy, metabolism, immunity, and more. The And We Know listeners can get 25% off Kimchi One with code AUK at mybrightcore.com/AUK or call 888-317-9941 for up to 50% off plus free shipping today. If you guys don't know this, Trump replaced the fired immigration judges with military lawyers. It's a power move, says Santa Surfing. President Trump replacing these immigration judges. They're assigning military lawyers as temporary immigration judges after firing dozens from the bench. About 100 Army Reserve lawyers will begin 6-month assignments to ease a 3.4 million case backlog. 3.4 million case backlog. Enough already. Trump affirms Washington anti-crime operation.
I really believe he's afraid for his life somehow. When you can have 40 or 50 people killed over the last couple of months.
He's talking about Pritzker.
Hundreds of people wounded. There's no place like that in the world. Hundreds of people wounded. 50, 55 people shot and killed. And Pritzker gets up and says what a wonderful place it is. They need help. Washington, D.C. is now a safe place. You're not going to get mugged or hit. You're not going to get raped. You're not going to get anything. Washington, D.C. went from a hellhole to a safe place. I love the way you nod. Is it true, though? A lot of the people right here were mugged. Reporters. And you know what? You're safe now. Nothing. We've had no crime. It took 12 days to solve the problem. 12 days. And we're going to do that in Chicago. We're going to do that in Portland. Now, Portland's different. That's a bunch of paid insurrectionists. But you have a lot of paid people in Chicago, too. I believe the politicians are under threat because there's no way somebody can say that things are wonderful in Chicago. Almost 55, I think it was 55 people over a short period of time have been murdered in Chicago, have been shot. 222 people over a short period of time have been hit, have been wounded, not died. But 55 people died over a short period of time. You're telling me there's no city in the world like that.
What did he call them? He called them insurrectionists. They must be paid, and these politicians must be under some type of duress. Enough already. You know, there's a judge, Karen Immergut. She said that President Trump is hereby blocked from commanding the National Guard to quell Antifa violent insurgency in Portland. Is that right? Stephen Miller chimes in. Legal insurrection. The president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, not an Oregon judge. Portland and Oregon law enforcement, at the direction of local leaders, have refused to aid ICE officers facing relentless terrorist assault and threats to life. There are more local law enforcement officers in Oregon than there are guns and badges in the FBI nationwide. This is an organized terrorist attack on the federal government and its officers, and the deployment of troops is an absolute necessity to defend our personnel, our laws, our government, public order, and the republic itself. So U.S. Northern Command chimes in. U.S. Northcom. Statement regarding protection of federal property and personnel in the Portland area. Approximately 200 soldiers have been placed in a Title X status, and they will carry out those military protective activities that the Secretary of War determines are reasonably necessary to ensure the protection and safety of federal personnel and property. Enough already. So Trump is sending 300 California National Guard members to Oregon, Newsom says, after judge paused the plan to deploy the troops. And then you got these Portland. Refuse to walk? We'll give you a ride. This is ICE. There you go. They're riding now. You don't want to walk? We'll give you a ride. And ICE is releasing these videos now to show you we're taking out the trash. Absolutely brilliant. Another thing here, in Chicago, members of the brave law enforcement were attacked, rammed, and boxed in by 10 vehicles. They surrounded them with 10 vehicles, including an attacker with a semi-automatic weapon. They're deploying more special ops to control the scene. Reinforcements are on their way. If you see a law enforcement officer, thank them. Secretary Christie, no. And so look what happens when somebody tries to get in the face of an ICE agent. Listen to what happens.
What's up? Don't phone me again. Step back. Step back. I'm on a public.
He's not doing anything. You're saying that.
You refuse to step back? You disobey a lawful order? You're going down. He got what he deserved.
He's not doing anything.
And all these people around him, he's not doing anything. He got in his face. And you don't do that. And guess what? You're going to be taken down. I've had enough of this. Threatening the lives of these guys, surrounding them by 10 vehicles. That's a coordinated attack. The Supreme Court slammed the door on activist Judge James Boasberg, reverses his block of 300,000 plus Venezuelans who now will be deported. Big win for Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution. How many more could Trump deport by removing the TPS protections? 0 Hour remind us of this. 300 National Guard on the way to Portland. 600 National Guard on the way to Chicago. It's begun. It's begun. We're watching all of this play out day after day. Our own Americans are doing all they can to remove these illegals, and they're getting attacked, and they're not getting the support they need from these local officials. It's pretty sickening. While all this is playing out, we have this.
I don't usually give trigger warnings, but on this occasion, I thought it was warranted. If you hate to hear the fact that the 2020 election was rigged and we watched it happen in real time, then you're really going to hate this.
I hate to say this, but President Barack Obama, there is now incontrovertible evidence that he was the spearhead of a seditious conspiracy to subvert the will of the American people and overthrow the United States government back in 2016. We must, absolutely must, hold every one of these criminals accountable for the crimes that they committed. They are the most heinous crimes committed in American history. James Comey, John Brennan, Clapper, Rice, Biden was in the meeting in July 28th in the Oval Office. They briefed Barack Obama on Hillary Clinton's plan to, quote, tie Trump to Russia collusion lies. It consumed our national discourse for 5 years. It undermined a sitting duly elected president. It sabotaged administration. It framed a 3-star general. It destroyed and ripped this country apart. We had a constitutional crisis, the likes of which I don't think any American can fully comprehend. It is atrocious, and every single one of them must be held accountable.
They know what they did, and they know what they're guilty of. And that's why they're fighting so hard to make sure that you never find out. And the Epstein files? Yeah, that's all part of it, guys. And it's happening on both sides of the aisle. I wish you would wake up and realize that this isn't Republican versus Democrat as much as it is good versus evil.
Amen. You know, this is posted by General Flynn. They, Barack Obama and his gang of subversives, betrayed their oath and sold out their country. That's treason, and they know it. This isn't about politics. It's about right and wrong, good versus evil. They chose evil. They chose evil. Ultra Mag and Dean Erickson caught this and saw this. Future proves past. News unlocks the map with this post and this drop. At specific time, it's a 1 minute, 45 second video posted at 6 p.m. And here we are. Poof. And here we are. Future proves past. News unlocks the map. And another interesting connection with this timestamp is what we've been told by Q. 6 o'clock can be dangerous. That's the time it was posted. The harvest crop has been prepared and soon will be delivered to the public for consumption. A higher loyalty. Why in the target brackets? That is part of the what? Does anybody know? Does anybody remember? The elite families. One in particular. Hunters become the hunted. Treason, sedition. How do you remove a liability? 6 o'clock can be dangerous. Family proud? Is your family proud? There for these Rothschilds, Rockefellers, yeah. How hot is Red October going to get? Hold on tight. I believe we're in for one heck of a ride. That is for sure. We got more going into the budget here in a minute. Want to remind you we're at amweknow.com, folks. A wonderful website. You can find out everything you need to know about us. All of our social media links, if you want to find us on Facebook, on Instagram, Telegram, and other places, and X. All you have to do is go to amweknow.com. It's there, or go in the description box below. All of our social media is located there. You can also find our cruise at Sea with LT. We're going March 15th through 22nd from Fort Lauderdale to Puerto Rico. We're going to have a blast, folks. Hundreds of people are going to show up so far. We're going to have meet and greet time, Q&A time. We're going to spend time on the sea in the morning and the afternoons on stage. We're going to be doing all types of presentations. Big guests are coming that I share all the time on the podcasts. You can click on our merch, folks, and you'll notice that we have plenty of gear for you. Different colors, different types, sweatshirts and hoodies getting ready for the fall and winter, accessories, hats, tees, and tanks and flag collections. It's wonderful. Here's more great pictures of Patriots wearing our gear. So, folks, the White House released this. The Democrat shutdown will cost Americans $400 million a day. $400 million a day. We had a reminder from Kennedy, Senator John Kennedy, on just what these Democrats wanted in these in this continuing resolution that they tried to push in there.
Basically, President Trump just said, we want you to take some stuff out of the budget that we think is wasteful. And we did. And that upset the Congresswoman. She's entitled to be upset if she wants to. But that really upset the socialist wing of the party. And so we took out, and here's what they want us to put back in. we found that under President Biden, they were spending $3 million for circumcisions and vasectomies in Zambia. We took that out. The Congresswoman says, we're going to shut down government till you put that back in. We found $500,000 of American taxpayer money for electric buses in Rwanda. We found $3.6 million for pastry cooking classes and dance focus groups for male prostitutes in Haiti. I kid you not. I'm not making this up. It was in the budget under President Biden. We took it out. Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez in the socialist wing, the loon wing of the Democratic Party, says we're going to shut down government until you put it back in. I'll just read you a few more that we took out. They are demanding we put back in. $6 million for media organizations for the Palestinians. $833,000 for transgender people in Nepal. $300,000 for a pride parade in Lesotho. $882,000 for social media and mentorship in Serbia. $4.2 million. We took it out. The Congresswoman and the socialist wing of their party says we've got to put that back in for that open government. $4.2 million for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and intersex people in the Western Balkans and Uganda. I could spend the rest of the afternoon here. We took all that out. It upset Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez. It upset the socialist wing of her party. And now that wing of her party and the Congresswoman are threatening all other Democrats and saying, you've got to shut that government down until we get what we want. And part of what they want is to add this kind of stuff back into the bill. And that's what this fight is all about.
Absolutely horrible. This information has to get out to everyone and what they're trying to do to ensure that their immoral activities are funded. They have to do this. Some folks think it's going to be done in 30. We're not completely sure, but I'll tell you what. They're being exposed for the world to see. Russ Vought just dropped the hammer on Schumer and Jeffries. $8 billion in New York funding is now frozen. The Hudson Tunnel Project and the 2nd Avenue subway extension, the crown jewels of Chuck Schumer and Jeffries' New York empire, they're suddenly on ice. This is from a man of memes. Why? Because Vought made it crystal clear federal dollars will not be spent on projects warped by unconstitutional DEI mandates. For decades, Democrats have treated the federal treasury like their personal piggy bank. They demand billions for infrastructure in New York City, then quietly lace the contracts with race-based quotas, equity requirements, and woke nonsense that has nothing to do with pouring concrete or laying steel. It's always been about power and ideology, patronage. Every time taxpayers from Iowa to Ohio foot the bill. Not this time. Vought's move landed like a thunderclap. Billions that Schumer and Jeffries were counting on just vanished overnight. Projects they bragged about back home are now stalled because their gravy train runs on DEI fuel. And when the watchdogs furloughed by the shutdown cannot rubber stamp the spending, the money does not move. Cue the outrage. Governor Kathy Hochul is already screaming about political payback. Schumer and Jeffries are panicking because they know their constituents will blame them from when the subway extension stalls and the Hudson Tunnel grinds to a halt. But let us be clear, this is not sabotage, this is accountability. This is what happens when you build billion-dollar projects on an unconstitutional foundation. The left has grown comfortable with shutdown theater. They threaten chaos, point fingers, and then quietly cash their checks while the rest of America pays the price. But this time the script flipped. Vought did not blink. He froze their money and told them if you cannot build without woke ideology, you do not get to build at all. And that is why this moment matters. It's a proof that conservatives do not have to sit back and complain about waste and woke overreach. With the right leadership, we can choke off the slush funds, dry up the equity mandates, and put America first in how our money is spent. So let the Democrats howl. Let the media rage. At the end of the day, $18 billion is locked up. New York's political machine just got kneecapped, and Schumer and Jeffries are left explaining to their voters why their pet projects are stalled. The message is clear. Unleash Russ Vought. Posted by Rob Sem. So check this out as a reminder how the media acts and the true answer behind this whole shutdown.
Thank you. At the top of the briefing, you made a statement about that the Democrats are interested in giving health care to illegal immigrants.
Yes, they are.
U.S. law already prohibits that. It's a 1996 law saying that they cannot give unauthorized immigrants any federally subsidized health care coverage through Medicaid, the Affordable Care Act, or the Children's Health Insurance Program. There seems to be a disconnect in the messaging.
Are you denying that Medicaid money has never gone to illegal aliens in the United States of America?
I'm not denying anything. I'm asking you if you can explain the disconnect in the message.
I most certainly can. The Democrats' proposal, their continuing resolution, let me just reiterate, the Republicans' continuing resolution was a clean continuing resolution. There was no partisan politics injected into it. There were no conservative wish lists injected to it. What the Republicans want and still want to this very second is a clean continuing resolution to fund the United States government. What did the Democrats want in their continuing resolution? They inserted a provision to undo a provision in the Working Families Tax Cut, the One Big Beautiful Bill, that ended taxpayer-funded health care illegal benefits for illegal aliens. Democrats' proposal would require Medicaid to pay more for emergency care provided to illegal aliens than Medicaid does for American patients who are disabled, elderly, or children. And this bill would have also allowed California to continue a gimmick that funds its Medicaid for illegals program. Those are things that we ended, the Trump administration ended, with the passage and the signage of the One Big Beautiful Bill. And it is an undisputed fact, a fact that under the Biden administration, illegal aliens were absolutely receiving taxpayer-funded health care benefits. In fact, in fiscal year 2024, Medicaid costs for emergency services for illegal immigrants skyrocketed by 142% from the previous year to $9.1 billion. That's $9.1 billion taxpayer dollars that were going to emergency services for illegals. Between President Trump's last full fiscal year under his first administration and Joe Biden's last full fiscal year, Medicaid spending on emergency services for illegal immigrants nearly tripled. There was an increase of 196% between 2020 and 2024. And I have a chart here for you, and I'm more than happy to email it to you. I'd also like to add, because some were asking dishonest questions yesterday about emergency rooms. In Southern California, according to healthcare professionals in 2023, under the Biden administration, Southern California's, quote, entire healthcare system was being bombarded with illegal immigrants and forcing American patients to endure longer wait times. In Denver, Colorado, the CEO of Denver Health stated that 8,000 illegal immigrants made 20,000 visits to the city's health system in 2023, leaving an uncompensated bill totaling over $10 million. So when an illegal alien goes to the emergency room, who's paying for it? The American taxpayer. The main safety net hospital in Denver had to turn away patients due to the massive influx of illegal immigrants into the community, and UC Health Hospitals in 2024 reported their system was under stress from an increasing number of migrants. As a result, according to the head of emergency departments and urgent cares across the hospital system, quote, access is impeded for everyone. These are healthcare professionals who dealt with this directly, and there's a lot more where that came from. It is an undisputed fact that Democrats want to give taxpayer-funded healthcare benefits to illegal immigrants, period.
Is that clear?
About emergency rooms.
Crystal. Great. We're starting to wake up to a lot more. This is going to shock you. Look what happened when one of the staffers for Nancy Pelosi admitted something that nobody knew about.
Forward looking. We were planning when I was working for Pelosi. I don't know that this has ever been made public, or I've never said this publicly, but planning for a January 6th type of an event 2 years before it happened.
Excuse me? We were planning for J6 2 years before it even happened. I don't know if anybody knows about this. Oh boy, she better watch out. Better lock those doors because you know how evil those people are. You start disclosing the information about what they were up to and how they planned it. Boy, it's not going to look good for you. So then January 6th continues to show up. So Kash Patel was interviewed about it. Check this out.
Some Republicans, Mr. Director, argue that Nancy Pelosi staged January 6th and the Select Committee covered it up. Based on what you personally know, what are the verifiable events in the lead-ups? And do you, I know you don't speculate, you just deal with facts.
I'm in a unique position. Remember, I was Chief of Staff for the Department of Defense on January 6th. We were responsible for the deployment of the National Guard. And what I was forced to testify to years ago at great personal cost has now once again, just like Russiagate, been proven true because all I do is speak the truth. On January, actually in the days before January 6th, we were in the Oval Office where the President Trump at the time, authorized, pursuant to law, up to 10 to 20,000 National Guard. We took that authorization because the law's second part required a request from who? Nancy Pelosi and the Metropolitan Police and the mayor at the time. And what did they say? No. And remember what happened for the next 2 years? They say, oh, Kash is lying, Trump's lying. And what did we find? Letters of their declination of the National Guard, refusing to have the National Guard show up. So all I can speak to is the facts, and the facts are those plus this. Nancy Pelosi and her team were busy filming a movie on January 6th while this so-called chaos around her was going down. If she had, just look at it this way, if she had said yes to the National Guard and we had 10,000 uniformed military officers established a secure perimeter, do you think January 6th would have gone differently?
It is intriguing that 250 FBI plainclothes agents were inside the Capitol on January 6th. I saw the president's tweet to get to the bottom of it. Who placed them there? What were they doing? Were they inciting violence? What can you tell us, Mr. Director?
This is a great example of the president's initiative to solve all the answers on January 6th. And it's another example of our transparency efforts. Pursuant to the president, we investigated the matter and found out why FBI agents were placed there in the first place. And it turns out we found documentation and witnesses and whistleblowers that said we were forced to go there to do riot control. Armstrong, do you know what the FBI does not do ever? Riot control. We don't do that. So the prior leadership sent 250 some odd men and women into a situation they're not trained for, put them in harm's way, put the individuals out there in harm's way, and also those individuals have collectively responded or said beforehand that they were forced to go there. They didn't volunteer to do that.
And you believe them?
That's their word, not mine.
Forced. I'm wondering if they were forced or if they were paid extra money to go out there and cause chaos because we've caught them and we know all about J6. Will they ever be held accountable? We certainly hope so. We certainly hope so. You know, we had a great interview the other day for these wave watches. The power of frequency. I've learned so much about it. And I wanted to let you know, it's in the description box below, the Wave Watch. Improve your health with sound frequencies. And I couldn't believe it at first, but it's actually been working. Here's a soundbite from Linda Bamber Olson, Wave Watch inventor.
Because we're not doing that. We went more the direction of pills. And so that's why people have a little harder time realizing that their body can absorb frequencies through their skin and their bones. They don't have to hear it. So that was so important for me to be able to do that because I'm a deaf person. I'm completely deaf in one ear and I've had trouble with hearing my whole life. And so I wanted a tool that I could use, you know, that I didn't have to hear.
Oh, wow. Wow. I know a lot. Yeah, so many folks. You know, I met her on the cruise, and I tell you what, we had several folks that had the watch on, and we were testing them out. My back started feeling much better. My best friend actually put it on, had a hard time bowling. His left knee was in a lot of pain. And next thing you know, he was bowling. He bowled 4 games. He said I could go 10 more. He couldn't even believe it. He normally wraps his everything up. He wraps his hand up and more. And he's like, what's going on? This thing is absolutely amazing. They have them in special colors like rose gold, also graphite. They improve your sleep, reduce stress, fight pain. They boost energy. And they are beautiful watches also. So when you use them, you can change to so many different frequencies for your brain health, for your pain, for sleep, and so much more. I encourage you to go check it out, folks, in the description box below. Go check it out. You will be absolutely amazed and reclaim your peace.
I would view it in two phases in terms of understanding how to break this out. The first piece of it, which was very clear from the letter and Hamas's response, is they have agreed to the president's hostage release framework. And what needs to happen now, and they acknowledge in the letter in their response, is there now needs to be meetings which are occurring even as I speak to you now, and hopefully will be finalized very quickly on the logistics of that. What that means is, who goes in to get them? Is it Red Cross? When do they show up, et cetera? What place are they going to be? And the conditions have to be created for that to happen. You can't have bombs going off and fighting going on in the middle of this exchange. So that's piece one. The second, and we want to see that happen as soon as possible. All 48 hostages, both living and deceased. And there's some need to be released. And there's some logistical challenges to that we'll have to work through. But that work is happening even as I speak to you this very moment. The second part of it, it's even harder, and that is the long-term piece. What happens after Israel pulls back to the yellow line and potentially beyond that as this thing develops? How do you create this Palestinian technocratic leadership that's not Hamas, that's not terrorists, and with the help of the international community? How do you disarm any sort of terrorist groups that are going to be building tunnels and conducting attacks against Israel? How do you get them to demobilize? All that work, that's going to be hard, but that's critical, because without that, you're not going to have lasting peace. You may get the hostages back, you may get a cessation of hostilities, but in the long term, it's going to happen all over again. So both are going on at the same time, but priority number one, the one that we think we can achieve something very quickly on, hopefully, is the release of all of the hostages in exchange for Israel moving back to that yellow line, which is basically where they stood at the middle part of last month, of August. And that's the one we're focused on. Even as I speak to you now, there are people meeting on that.
Do you know the issues going on overseas with this Gaza thing has just been all weekend long, like watching tennis match. President Trump says, we're trying to have peace. The next thing you know, Gaza's getting bombed, and he's telling them to stop bombing so that we can continue forward to get these hostages back. Back and forth. I'm going to show you some of that here.
Well, it's a great deal for Israel, and it's a great deal for everybody. And you want to get your hostages back, right? You want them back, or do you not want them back? And it's a great deal for Israel. It's a great deal for the entire Arab world, Muslim world, and world. So we're very happy about it.
When do you think the hostages will start being freed?
I think very soon. They're in negotiation right now as we speak. They've started the negotiation. It'll last a couple of days. We'll see how it turns out, but I'm hearing it's going very well.
Hostages, I hear it's going well, and more. Laura Boley reminded us of this. When Hamas said yes, but to Trump's Gaza peace plan, Trump phoned Netanyahu and called it good news. Netanyahu said that it did not mean anything. Trump responded, I don't know why you're always so blanking negative. This is a win. Take it. Is Trump finally losing his patience with Bibi? Now, here's a reminder, because I had to play all these when October 7th happened, to remind you some quotes from Bibi, and you make up your mind on what he means by all this. I'm going to read what he's saying on the screen. You ready? This is Bibi speaking. The main thing is, first of all, let me go back. First of all, to strike them. Not once, but several times, so painfully that the price they pay is unbearable. So far, the price tag is not unbearable. I mean, a large-scale attack on, let me go back, on the Palestinian Authority. He's in a living room with a group of folks. For those that are listening, looks like family members or friends, will have you. Fear is what brings them to, and then somebody stops him and says, hold on. But then again, the world will say that we're the aggressors. They can say what they want, says BB. Aren't you afraid of what they'll see, BB? Aren't you afraid? Especially today with America, he said, I know what America is. I know how they are. America is something that you can easily maneuver and easily move it to the right. Excuse me, go back to this, okay? America is something that you can easily maneuver and easily move it in the right direction. So if there is a chance that they will do something, so what? 80% of the Americans support us. It's absurd. I wasn't afraid to maneuver Clinton. I wasn't afraid to confront Clinton. I wasn't afraid to go against the UN. Just a reminder of what's going on in that area.
Prime Minister of Israel goes on television to openly meddle in internal American politics, taking sides, attacking people, Americans, because they're not fully on board with sending billions more to a country of 9 million people?
He talked about the woke right. And he said, I call it the woke Reich. That's a brilliant observation. The woke Reich, because these people, you know, they're not any different from the woke left. I mean, they're insane. They're lunatic. We have to fight back. How do we fight back? Our influencers. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is TikTok, number one. And the other one, X. You know, so we have to talk to Elon. He's not an enemy. We have to fight the fight.
Anyone who opposes me in the United States, who opposes more aid to Israel or opposes getting sucked into war with Iran, which does not serve American interests, that person is not simply mistaken or wrong. I'm not going to bother to explain why that person is wrong. That person is a Nazi, part of the woke Reich, a Nazi. And the only way to fix it is by preventing Americans in the last country on earth with guaranteed freedom of speech, prevent Americans from hearing the other side. And so we push Congress to force a TikTok sale, which is true, by the way. And when that happened, and various members of Congress were like, no, really, it's about China. There were people online who said, no, I think it's really about Israel. Here he is just admitting, no, we pushed the U.S. Congress to censor in the United States, to commit censorship in the United States because we think it's bad for us. And we need to talk to Elon. You know, that's the point at which you just say no.
So interesting, he had an interview with Jeffrey Sachs on his thoughts on why the Congress is doing the bidding.
If you ask me, am I really sure why Netanyahu, who is an absolutely disgusting warmonger, who has dragged us into terrible wars, who is committing massive war crimes, why he gets 57 standing ovations in the U.S. Congress? Is it the AIPAC lobby, the Israel lobby? Is it blackmail by Israel? Because there's no doubt a lot of credible claims of Epstein and more. Is it direct bribes? Is it fear of American politicians? Is it the mainstream media, which for a lot of reasons owned by a lot of billionaires that tend to be rather ardent Zionists? Is it the large Christian Zionist vote base, which is also a real thing? To tell you the truth, none of it really adds up.
I agree.
In full, because this is not in America's interest.
Very interesting, right? This information that's been playing out in front of us. President Trump said, based on the statement just issued by Hamas, I believe they are ready for a lasting peace. Israel must immediately stop the bombings of Gaza so that we can get the hostages out safely and quickly. Right now, it's far too dangerous to do that. And so I'm going to show you a clip of that. The bombings going on when they're trying to get the hostages out. This is according to sources out there saying this bombing was happening as they're trying to get peace, and this was President Trump was talking about, that the bombing needs to stop. You can see the people moving along, and there are all types of bombing happening behind them. There it is. And so the Prime Minister of Israel released on X and then deleted this. We will continue to work in full cooperation with the president and his team in order to bring the war to an end in accordance with the principles set forth by Israel, which are consistent with President Trump's vision. Netanyahu deleted this post about agreeing to Trump's Gaza ceasefire plan. President Trump responds, I appreciate that Israel has temporarily stopped the bombing in order to give the hostage release and peace deal a chance to be completed. Hamas must move quickly or else all bets will be off. I will not tolerate delay, which many think will happen, or any outcome where Gaza poses a threat again. Let's get this done fast. Everyone will be treated fairly. And then we saw this. After negotiations, Israel has agreed to the initial withdrawal line, which we have shown to and shared with Hamas. When Hamas confirms the ceasefire will be immediately effective, the hostages and prisoner exchange will begin, and we will create the conditions for the next phase of withdrawal. Now, check this out, folks, which will bring us close to the end of this 3,000-year catastrophe. Thank you for your attention to this matter, and stay tuned. So I'm going to zoom in on this real quick. If somebody caught on this, I saw it on another channel. He did a pretty good job. If you look at this map that President Trump posted, it appears that it's in sections 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then you've got the long one, the 12. And that seems to be possibly a reference when he says 3,000 years, we're talking biblical. Could that be a reference to the 12 tribes of Israel? Interesting. And also that 3,000 years ago, we're talking about, I believe, 700 BC when you had King Solomon, right? And you had all of that entire area with King Solomon, the wisest king ever to live on this earth, who was active 3,000 years ago, where Israel seemed to be, most of Israel seemed to be completely owned and run by King Solomon. And of course, many nations came to King Solomon for his wisdom. Then you say, I have massive protests in Tel Aviv. There's a massive protest in Tel Aviv urging Netanyahu to take the peace deal. And President Trump posted this on Truth Social. You can see the video on your screen. It's now or never. President Trump posted this image. The entire world wants peace, and the Netanyahu cabal has no choice. Peace on earth, and nothing can stop what's coming. If they try to tank the world economy, it will only destroy them. Trust the plan. And so that is being released. And very interesting, some other folks, just telling you what I've been reading, are stating, isn't it interesting? You have the 1 week peace deal, and then it falls through when the world says peace, then sudden destruction. So some folks are saying, could this be a reference to that prophecy where there's a 1 week deal and there's peace, and then all of a sudden there is destruction? Some would say, oh, we don't take that literal. 1 week equals 7 years. Well, if you take the Bible literally and it says 1 week, then there's peace, and then all of a sudden there's sudden destruction. Could that be what this is leading up to? Whatever it is, it's very interesting to have this divided into 12 and 3,000 years thrown in there, which is biblical, and so much more wrapped around this. Israel to spend up to $4.1 million to bolster support among Christians in Western U.S. Filings are showing. They're paying this money to conservative activist Chad Schnitzger's new firm, Show Faith by Works, to target Christians with explicitly pro-Israel and anti-Palestinian propaganda. According to FARA filings reviewed by JTA, Show Faith expects to receive more than $3.25 million over 5 months, paid in equal installments routed through the global and giant Havas Media, while also floating an ideal additional budget of $835,000 for equipment and expansion. The firm reported receiving an initial payment of $326,000 September 18th. The firm has pledged to recruit pastors to write op-eds and distribute pastoral resource packages by mail, to hire social media influencers and produce television-style commercials, and to tour a branded trailer exhibit featuring tents, virtual reality headsets, and kiosks designed to immerse audiences in narratives of Israel's conflict with Hamas for a program that will be called the October 7th Experience. All of this is happening. And then we were told this by the Department of State.
Well, that's the goal here. Well, you wouldn't need
Yeah.
combat operations if there weren't terrorists there. But
Well-
by the same token, I would remind everybody, if in fact at the end of all this, terrorism and a terrorist group remains active inside of Gaza, you're not going to have peace. That's the fundamental truth here that everyone needs to accept.
Right,
You're never going to have peace in Gaza as long as there are terrorists operating from that territory threatening the security of Israel.
Interesting. And so all of this happening, and we're talking about biblical, right? Biblical being the fact that we've got gold that reached an all-time high of $3,900. Folks, if you missed our interview Saturday, we released this. Gold record during shutdown. Big names putting 20 to 25% of their portfolio's investment into precious metals. And those that have 401ks, if you're 59 and a half, you can start converting those over to metals, because we know, we've been talking about this, how silver is probably going to shoot up. And according to Dr. Elliott and many other experts, it's going to triple. It's going to go from nearly 50 probably soon, and then you're going to be 60, then 70 and more. And you do not want to miss the boat when it takes off. Better late than never, says Warren Buffett, who bets on gold. That's right. That's right. $565 million. Some folks are throwing these guys, these elites, realizing, wow, this is a great time to get involved in precious metals. If you want to know more, just go to amweknow.com/gold in the description box below, or just type that in, and your life will change like mine has in a phenomenal way, for sure. You know, a couple other things. I wanted to make sure we go to the medical side real quick before we close. This is RFK Jr. rejecting the United Nations Health Declaration.
We cannot defeat the epidemic alone, but the UN's approach is misdirected. It attempts both too little and too much. It exceeds the UN's proper role while ignoring the most pressing health issues. And that's why the United States will reject it. The WHO cannot claim credibility or leadership until it undergoes radical reform. The United States objects to the political declaration of non-communicable diseases. Member states decided earlier this year that this meeting should approve a declaration in advance by consensus to ensure this gathering would not be marred by controversy. But the declaration is filled with controversy, with provisions about everything from taxes to oppressive management by international bodies of communicable diseases. The draft declaration before us today should not have been included in today's agenda. The United States will walk away from the declaration.
Absolutely outstanding. It's good leadership. Glad to see it. Got to keep him in our prayers for sure. You know, with all this going on, we're going to close today with something that was just posted by Dan Scavino. Titans of the Sea. Navy's 250. That's how we started. It's interesting that this is what we're going to end with today, because when you look at Titans of the Sea, just Juice Worth the Squeeze says Titans of the Sea equals 605,972,162. So 972,162. So if you look at this, 6:15 a.m., 105, November 5th, 2017, we were told, please pray. All of this is connected. Operators are in harm's way. High risk, high value targets. Please pause and give thanks. All of us realize the scope of what's happening around this earth. What do we talk about today? Portland and Chicago, our own Americans under attack for trying to remove folks who do not belong here. Stuff happening in Israel, the Middle East. It's always a hotbed. Things can go haywire there in a moment's notice. Keeping that in our prayer. Realizing that once again the J6 issue came up. Keep that in our prayer so these folks can receive justice for what they've done to our country. And Obama, again, realizing that he is a traitor to this country and the damage that he caused that hurt so many millions, we hope someday will come out clearly and folks will finally wake up to what's going on. And so again, we're told operators are in harm's way, high risk. Please pray.
For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, once again, we are in awe of you. We come before your throne, knowing that you're the only one that has the answers to all that's going on this earth. You gave us a record in your word, in the Bible, telling us what was going to happen in the future. Not every detail, but in a sense, in a decoded way, we try to figure it all out. We ask that you would help us to understand how you're coordinating this whole thing, and we certainly understand that leaders have been put in place that are deceptive, and the leaders have been put into place that are good. And we know this is a fight between good and evil, and we ask that you continue to guide and direct our minds in the direction that you want us to go. We know that it's your will that must be done on this earth as it is in heaven. We thank you for the daily provisions you provide us. We thank you for the daily word that you give us. We also thank you that we have a direct line to you. We can make our requests known and come boldly before your throne, as you tell us to bring our requests. And we ask right now, in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, that these troops that are in harm's way would be protected in such a way that even maybe their eyes would open for a moment to see the mighty chariots and angels surrounding them as they take away these folks who want nothing more than to steal, kill, and destroy. We bring this all before you in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, our Savior. Amen. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for your time, for your love, your prayers, and a lot of your guidance when you send us emails and more. We certainly appreciate that. We look forward to the remainder of this week. So much is going to happen. We can see it. We see that this Red October is more than we've ever seen before. More action, more things than I could even fathom. And so we hope, again, as many would say, that this movie is playing out in such a way that would wake up the normies and we'd finally understand the truth and how we've been lied to by so many things for so long. My hope is that we would all finally wake up to it all. So again, let's stay in prayer. Stay prayed up. For now, it's LT Semper Fi with Them We Know. Happy birthday, Navy. Signing out.
Hooyah, Navy! Hooyah, Navy!
God bless the United States Navy.